anything that is deterministic today can be AI automated, from framework to designing and even execution in terms of coding and deployment and even testing. All AI can do it itself. All you need is one person who can manage all the AI tools, know how to stitch everything together, then boom, you have a great business to go. This is always the creative part. You cannot replace humans, right? The creative part you cannot replace. So next economy for a most valuable for a person is not about I know Java or I know Python like developer or I know specific thing. It's about creativity. How do you position yourself in the market as a product? How do you creatively sell? How do you creatively get attention? During the time I was working, for example, I would be working around 16 hours per day, most likely. Go to office, come back 8 hours, and then I have to spend 8 hours for myself to learn.
Yeah, once you're a startup founder, your life becomes like that. You have many jobs.
I went and asked him after the event. I went and asked Krish. See, Krish, he was from Infosys. Then he started a startup. I'm like, I'm also like you. I also don't know anything. Give me a chance. He gave me a list of tools and told me one thing. He told me full stack developer.
Hello and welcome to a very exciting episode of Pitch Cafe podcast. Today we have a millennial founder who is trying to make a difference with his tools in ChatGPT, and he's trying to change the way emails can get you leads. He's doing a lot more with his startup salesgear.io, but hey, that's not why I have him on the podcast. When I spoke to him about his ideas on startups, he has a lot of good funders. First thing he said was the next $1 billion company will have 2 or 3 people. Can you believe that? I want to be in that company. I want to invest in that company. I want to be part of that company. And I said, let's get Premsanth on this podcast and let's dig in and find out what he's thinking when he's making statements like this. He's a serial entrepreneur and he has built startups. He's seen exits. And now he's built a stable startup which has recurring revenue. And he's in a mindset to bootstrap for a while and thinking about raising, but he's very happy where he is and launching an amazing, cool product tomorrow. It is called email warming. I really want to get to the start of this. Prem, welcome to the podcast, Pitch Cafe. So good to have you here.
Thanks for having your pleasure's mine. Vidya.
Awesome. So, Prem, when I met you at SASCON, you were having the best startup books and you asked me to throw something in the loop and try to get a book. I failed, but those were the best startup books I have ever read. You had every startup book, 0 to 1. You had all the cool books, which I have always been wanting to read. What has got you so interested into the startup world? How did you do your startup journey? And what did you mean by saying that the next $1 billion startup will have 2 to 3 employees? What's going on? Tell me all about it.
Awesome. Too many questions, so overwhelming with the questions. Great. Thanks for having me on the podcast. Great. So today's world, if you see, it is a bear market. From bull market, we are into bear market. The fundings are drying up. And with AI, the ChatGPT and Bard and everything coming up, it has become a game of efficiency today. Because bear market, people want to make most of every penny. They want to make most penny count. So the AI coming up, and this is what I started reading in a Reddit thread. We were having a lot of conversations. Interesting. That is where it started. Like next $1 billion startups will have 3 to 4 employees. If you see any company for that matter, if you take just for product, there are hundreds of AI products on product. From framework to designing and even execution in terms of coding and deployment and even testing, all AI can do it itself. Just the engineering department or product for that matter. And same with sales, marketing, and finance. So which are the 4 most important part of any business. So all you need is one person who can manage all the AI tools, know how to stitch everything together, then boom, you have a great business to go.
So you're saying that companies have become more scalable now. You don't need a lot of people. And because of the efficiency and tools, you're going to be able to create $1 billion startups with just few people. Is that correct? That's what you're saying.
Yeah, kind of. So this is always the creative part. You cannot replace humans, right? The creative part you cannot replace. So next, economy for a most valuable for a person is not about I know Java or I know Python like developer or I know specific thing. It's about creativity. How do you position yourself in the market as a product? How do you creatively sell? How do you creatively get attention? But the repeatable way, anything that is deterministic today can be AI automated. So that is what trying to say.
Fantastic, fantastic. So, let's start digging in deep. You seem to be very good with tools. So, and you also have a podcast of your own. You have a video series going on, a founder series. So let's start with one of the topics. Let's start with your startup journey first. You've seen companies getting acquired. You've been part of companies that have got acquired. Tell us about your startup journey and how you went on from being a developer, then you move to sales, then you move to marketing. Basically, you're self-taught in all this. Tell us all about that.
Cool. So my startup journey, so this is back in 2012, 13, when the India startup ecosystem was going on. Ola, Oyo, Uber, everything was coming up. So there was a urge for every person at that time, hey, let's do a startup. That is what the mindset. But the problem is, I was from a tier 2 city and didn't have exposure to the tech how others have. So once I got an opportunity back in college to work as an intern at a company called Go Truck. It is actually a competitor of Porter today. Porter, if you see, it's around 600 or $700 million company today. Such a big company. And that time, Porter was just starting in Mumbai. And this company was just starting in Chennai. So I joined them as an intern, as a sales development. I have engineering background. I did robotics, and we did something at college, and I was so proud of whatever I was doing, but it was not exciting. So the startups, I was doing sales there, and we from identifying who's our ideal customer, and starting from zero to the first customer and expanding that 1 to 21 customers plus before I left them. As a 20-year-old, it was exciting as well.
Very nice. So then what happened after you left as intern? Did you join another company and work in a regular role? I see you worked at TCS. So how was that transitioning from there and then going into like a proper out and out startup world? What was that like?
Yeah, that was really a hard thing because here there was so much responsibilities and accountability and control. Control in the sense impact, not control. I would say impact as a startup. There were only 3 people, and I was not an engineer. I was doing sales, and I was figuring out. It was a learning. Every day was a new day. But TCS, one of the great companies India has ever built, from the Tata family. I had very good learnings there, but it didn't fit me because I got an explosive role at the startup there previously. And settling down at TCS was really hard for me. I had to leave in less than 3 months. I had to leave. Made pretty good connections as well there. I just want to get to another explosive journey of what I already had.
So, of course, you're young, and then I don't think there are family priorities particularly on your mind. Back then, they were not. They were just a student. So, what is it like? You give up a paycheck and you go on your own. How do you manage your finances? Like, is your millennial generation saving for future, or what is your mindset? Because you're taking one risk after another, and I know that millennials travel a lot, they explore a lot, and they have different kind of food habits. They're exploring different cuisines. What is it like to give up a paycheck? How did you navigate that?
Yeah, I just say end of the day, so I stayed there. Actually, I put papers in the 3rd month or so, but I left after 6 months. It was 6 months at TCS. But leaving the paycheck, right? End of the day, so what happened during that time? I met Krish from ChargeBee. ChargeBee, if you see, it's a $1 billion company out of Chennai. And back then, when I met Krish, when I was at TCS, I went to a startup event here. So there I met him and I was asking him. He was sharing all the learnings and experience as startup. I was like, I should be there. I want to feel the same energy. I'm not feeling that energy right now.
So Krish is who? Your
Krish Subramaniam is CEO of ChargeBee. Krish
Chadvi guy. Okay, got it.
ChargeBee guy. So he was telling about his story, how he came up and stories. I was like, I went and asked him after the event. I went and asked Krish. See, Krish, we were also. He was from Infosys. Then he started a startup. I'm like, I'm also like you. I also don't know anything. Give me a chance. I'm desperately looking to succeed, but I'm not getting the right exposure, right team. Can you help me with my start journey? He was like, that's a great advice. What he said is, Prem, that's so good. But understand, we are startups. We cannot hire somebody without skill set. We are also running. It's a efficient mission. Startups are.
Right.
So you learn these skill sets. He gave me a list of tools and told me one thing. He told me full stack developer. I took a note. Okay, full stack developer is something important. This is in 2015.
Even
Full stack.
now, if I go to any these incubators, accelerators, they post jobs, right? Half of the job of full stack developer. I don't know what those guys do. They develop something from scratch and go through the stack. I know that much, but
Yeah.
always they have a job. Full stack developers will always have a job. Yeah. So go ahead. What happened after that?
So full stack. So I went home, Googled what is full stack developer, learned what are the basics. And then that is when I said, okay, I have to quit. There's no other go because otherwise I will not move ahead. Then I put the papers. Then I started learning what is full stack development, started working on it and learned everything. And still TCS what helped me because I got great friends who helped me through the time. And during the time I was working, for example, I would be working around 16 hours per day, most likely. Go to office, come back 8 hours, and then I have to spend 8 hours for myself to learn. So 16 hours. I would spend morning 4 hours, get up at 3, 4, spend till 8, learn. So go back to office, come back, and night after dinner 4 hours. So because I was so desperate to win.
So you had like two jobs for a while. You had many jobs for a while.
Yeah. Because
I think, once you're a startup founder, your life becomes like that. You have many jobs.
Right.
Yeah. Even now you're doing a lot of things, right? You told me in your company, you're doing sales, marketing, you're doing a lot of things, right? So go ahead. Yeah.
So that is it. So that is the beauty of it. You always juggle between multiple hats. You will be like always startup guy will be jack of all trades. You cannot be master of none. You cannot be master. You could be master of none, right? So jack of all trades is the quality you need, and that is what helped me get past it, and become the full stack developer I wanted to be. Where the next went
How
on.
long did it take? How long did it take, like, to become a full stack developer?
So there's a catch always. Whenever you say you want to become a CEO, you become a company, right? You are always a filling in a shoe. The title says you're going to fill in that shoe. You get a title, but doesn't mean you are there yet. You have to do enough for the next course of time to do it. It took me, thankfully I did it in 3-4 months. I got it. And that's when and I moved on.
Wow.
For free. I worked for free for a while at Adapt. It's the next company, and it's Sales Lift was the name of the company back then.
Wow. So this is a trend I'm seeing. People work at a startup for free, or they work for peanuts, and because you're very convinced about the vision. This is one thing I'm seeing. But you do have to save from your regular paycheck to navigate those 3-4 months where you're working for free. So I think that is all millennials have to plan for that. Now, you learned within 3 months. Do you think such a complex job can be learned in 3 months, or you were actively engaged in the startup in building the product, so you learning got accelerated? Why did that acceleration happen? 3 months is kind of, you're not doing it full time, you're doing it before and after work, right? So is it because you're actively solving a real world problem in a startup that you learn so quickly?
Actually, learning, it's not like, just to clarify, the 3 months will get you a job doesn't mean you become that person yet. Right? It is a journey after that. So whole journey is the most of the learning happens when you work. Because you're solving the real life problems, right?
Go ahead. there is this MBA school called Masters Union, where
Okay.
you learn MBA by starting a business. You don't go to lectures. You run a business and you do your MBA. So when you do
Nice.
something, you learn. So I think you learned coding because you're on a real world problem, and
Right.
it accelerates your learning rather than textbook learning and then lab and theory. You just go and solve
Right.
a problem, you learn it. So this is fantastic. So yeah, what happened after that? You picked up full stack engineering, and then what happened?
Yeah. So full stack engineering. So the journey went on. So I was in a position where I had people around me who was super experienced. They were 15 years experience. And I was surrounded by suddenly by a group of people was super experienced. It felt like they say this syndrome, right? I don't know what is the word. I forgot the word. It's like you don't deserve that place. You
Oh
feel
yeah,
that.
yeah. I know,
What
I
is
know,
that?
I know.
Yeah.
So it will come to me. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So
So that place, I was like, oh
imposter
my God,
syndrome. Imposter.
imposter syndrome. Yeah. You and they are super smart. And you were thinking like, okay, I cracked it. I am good. And then you feel like I am nothing. I'm the worst person in the room. Then it's like I somehow got a chance. And so something they say always in startups. I realized later in the world, later in life, with people saying me, imposter system is one of the best thing that can happen to anybody, that accelerate your learning, because you're going to put twice the amount of work to get something done. And during the journey, you accelerate in such pace that with time, you become so efficient. But it is still a time game, obviously.
Yeah,
Um,
fantastic.
yeah.
So there you are with the most amazing people. I've worked with really smart people. It rubs on you. Within no time, you become smart. If you hang out,
Right.
something you'll pick up from them. At least the
Right.
way to talk, the way to organize your day,
Right.
something
Definitely.
will happen. So what happened after that?
So during the time, I also had a mentor. One of mentor was
Absolutely. This is what I'm hearing a lot. Good startup founders have good mentors. They hang out with smart people. So double clicking on everything. Go ahead. Yeah.
you looks like you're having a checklist that you're checking as
Yes,
and when you're talking.
I'm having a checklist. I've done like 75 plus podcasts now, and I've
Uh,
worked with some really good founders. This is like a pattern. So go ahead. What
okay.
happened next?
Right. So this is where I was so amazed and how it works. So that was what happened is I'll tell his background. He was an engineer. Later, he worked for a company. That company, they did so well, and they sold the company to Salesforce.
Mm.
Sales was big, one of the biggest acquisition back then. I think it was in 2000 or something. The company later became data.com. It was named Jigsaw, and it became data.com later on. Salesforce had this. And I was going through all they had some interview podcasts, a recording. It was like a chat. I was reading all those. I was not able to wrap my head around it. They sold it for 120, $160 million to
Wow.
Salesforce back then. I was
Wow.
like, what is this number? Okay, 100, let me calculate into multiple. Okay, so many zeros. Okay, this is how 160 million is. That is where I was much earlier in my career. And I happened to spend time with him, and it's been numerous. And all the my network, the people I had around, they were also being mentored by the same person. And with time, we all became like one person. We all became like him.
Mm.
So the way you think, the way you make decisions. And one of my favorite thing, first time I heard this, I was so shocked. So I was much earlier in career into hiring. So when I was hiring, he came, he and others gave me this advice. He said, what is the one rule in hiring? I was like, one rule, attitude. What is it? This is back then. He's
Yeah,
like,
attitude sounds more like it. And
uh,
yeah, excellence.
what do you think is the thumb rule of hiring?
Hiring.
Hmm.
One thumb rule.
Okay. So
I
what he
think,
told me was, yeah,
yeah,
good.
it's a good fit. There should be people should fit in your team, right? The first thing.
Okay. So first thing I was told is never fall in love with the candidate. Never ever.
Never fall
So
in love.
because sometimes I've realized it later with
Mm.
more and more people you talk. Sometimes you like something in a person, you like the candidate, you don't get to test them at different angles you want.
Yeah, no, I
Right?
agree. Yeah, it's called competency-based hiring. Competency is, you love the person's personality, they fit in the team very well, and everybody has voted in favor of them. But still, you like that person, but the competency-wise, you have not tested them. Maybe
Yeah.
it looks good, but they're not competent. So go ahead.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
don't fall in love with the candidate. That's good. Mm-hmm.
That was a great advice. And similarly, there are hundreds of, I can keep talking about all the advices. But one more thing I learned and I follow so deeply and tell it to everybody today is this one. It says, no matter how, it's about flat hierarchy, right? And show it in action. You can talk about flat hierarchy. There's no CEO, there's no the first last staff who joined the company. Everybody is equal. The saying is different, but doing is different, right? So he was 20 years into the business, had an exit, made so many millions. He settled down in the valley, and he's so smart, and he's been advisor of so many companies. When I was an intern, he let me ask him uh, all the questions and hard questions as well. The openness that they set, right, make you so much of comfort, give you such a comfort space to have such conversation, right? That is
Yeah,
something you cannot just
who is
read it.
his mentor? Can I ask? Who is his mentor?
He's the Rajan Madhavan, actually. He's currently VP at Oracle.
Oh, very nice, very nice.
Yeah,
So
yeah. He was a great one.
these are people who have like busy day jobs and they are into angel investing, correct? And
Right,
they're
right. Yeah,
advising along with investing. They don't
right, right.
only keep themselves sharp by having a job, because when you work in a company, you are
Mhm.
always aware of the current trends, current tools. And if you're building a startup, they know exactly what kind of acquisitions the company will make. Let's say they're at an
Mhm.
Oracle or Cisco, they're always acquiring startups. So
Mhm.
having somebody like that inside the industry as a mentor would be really awesome. So I
But that was not the intention, not to make sure Oracle acquires us. Yeah, but saying it's a lot of insights because being there, right? That is always a great thing. And people who have been there, done that, right? Nobody
Yeah,
can give you
nobody
better
can
advice
be.
than that.
No, no, I agree with you. Been there, done that. They're great speakers, they're great writers, and they can give really objective guidance.
Right.
When you're panicking and you need advice, they will know exactly what to say because they've done that before. They'll save you a lot
Mhm.
of failures. So this is very interesting. Your startup journey. Of course, you're at salesgear.io. You're self-taught. Now I can understand how you taught yourself sales and marketing, and you're learning a lot of things. Quickly tell the audience what you do at salesgear.io. After that, I want to ask you about the latest trends you're seeing in the startup world.
Right.
You mentioned, you talked about AI trends. Let's get to that. But first, quickly tell the audience what is salesgear.io and what it's doing.
Okay, great. In simple words is we try to simplify outbound sales.
Okay.
That is what it's trying to do. All the tools. Okay, what is outbound sales is typically old school way of door-to-day salesman. Knock at the door and say, "Sir," I randomly show up, say, "Sir, do you want this?" That is outbound sales.
Nice.
In today's world is dropping a LinkedIn message. Hey, this is something I can offer. I think you will be benefited, and
Yeah.
emails, so and so. So what we do at SalesCare is we simplify that there are so many moving parts just to do a sales. So we build all the parts together and connect it in one place. So all of the communications are taken care internally. All the tech jargons are removed from you, and you can focus only on sales. Focus on the value you're offering, and just rinse and repeat. And the rest is taken care by the tool. That's what SalesCare does.
Fantastic. You have ChatGPT tools. You're able to get emails of people inside the industry,
Right.
high profile people. This is awesome. And then you keep following up until they respond. I've seen you come up with the ChatGPT template. You demoed it to me in the sales,
Right. Right.
the sales booth at SASCON. I saw that. So, and I'm using ChatGPT regularly. I know the value add it brings. So this is
Right.
amazing. And a lot of influencers recommend these tools.
Right.
There is this Varun Maya from
Yeah.
AV TV. So he's a very strong influencer, millions of followers, and he has been talking about these tools for many years now. So So great there. So now, Prem, tell us all about some trends you're seeing in AI. You're there, out there, you're in the battlefield, and you know
Right.
what is working, what is not working. What are some of the really cool trends you're seeing in AI, which startups could use, and investors can learn about? Yeah.
Right. So obviously, all of us know LLM is what driving the market, the ChatGPT and Bards and all the things available. But what has worked for me, I can share what is my learnings, right? Obviously, so what we did is, it was last when it was during December, that time, November, December time, I was looking at a Chrome extension. There was the vibe, there's a hype of ChatGPT is getting there. I've been using OpenAI's APIs since like August. Since then, I've been using last year. But this started vibing a lot with the ChatGPT model coming out. So when the ChatGPT, the words were coming out, people were so much. It was so much hype that people want to know what it is. They always Google for it.
Yeah.
So, and at that time, one company leveraged it so well. A company got a domain called chatgpt for google.com. That is a actual domain. And they created a Chrome extension around it. It's a pretty valuable extension. At that time, I saw it was like 40,000, 50,000. And next few weeks, I checked back, it was 100,000.
Mm.
And today, I saw like 2 days back, it is 4 million downloads, 4
Wow.
million users on Chrome Store. So
Wow.
I was seeing this trend. Then I said, okay, is the product so valuable or is it the hype or whatever? So I went and tried it my hands in itself. So I bought a domain called chatgpt for gmail.com and created a Chrome extension. We spent like 1.5 weeks, the whole team spent, and we stopped. We have other products to build at sales care, so we're not doing anything. We just launched it, and as of today, we have 8,000 plus users, almost hitting 9,000 in this week. So, and it's been 60 days, last 60 days. This happened in last 60 days only. So ChatGPT is more than a technology wave, it's a marketing wave. That is my perspective.
Very nice. So I can see you're already learning the bearings of marketing. You're using it in your company. Who would have thought that naming a product in a certain way, using the name of a company which is very popular, will drive
Right.
your own business? One of the top AI startups in India today is API for Stable Diffusion or Stable Diffusion API. That's a well-funded startup. They've used Stable Diffusion in their name. So, and
Nice.
it's considered a serious fundable startup, even though the name is like that. What
Mhm.
I've seen is in pitch decks, when startup founders are pitching, as soon as you use the name of a very successful company, the investor becomes attentive because he's able to imagine what the product is like.
Mhm.
We are
Right,
building a
right,
stable diffusion for enterprise, or we are building a Google search for enterprise, something like that. So anyway,
right. But
fantastic.
fundraising, just touching about the fundraising part, it actually differs at which stage of the company you're. You're an idea stage or in a seed, pre-seed, and a series A. Then sometimes some valuations are crazy in terms of multiples of hundreds. There are companies with hundreds of multiples, but certain level it is all revenue. It's to the point. And today's market, right? There is a AI wave,
Yeah.
but people getting back to normal where they realize revenue potential. So revenue potential in terms of your valuations of funding comes multiples of revenue, either 10x or 100x. How they do it, 100x is too much, but yeah. So yeah, just
No.
telling.
Yeah, it's a good pitch practice. Like instead of the founder spending 10 minutes on explaining something, he can use a metaphor like that. It becomes a very effective.
Mhm.
So my job here, I help startups, advise startups, is they come with this elaborate, too heavy, too much text and too many images in their slide. Instead of that, you can have one image of a company which is very popular and say, we are like the Ola or the Airbnb for.
Oh yeah.
That's what I
It,
meant.
so this is what we have to doing. So just for the context. So when we were doing Go Truck, I was at the intern there. I was to go to the people, and the people were asking, "What is this?" It's Uber for trucks, and we were
Exactly,
using the same.
exactly, something like that. So this is great. So now you, instead of giving that analogy, put it inside your startup's name. So it becomes very clear. Even the investor will notice just by the name, you know what you do. Fantastic.
Right.
So, I want to wrap up. Before that, tell us all about your exciting founders video series. What do you
Okay.
catch in that? And there is one post, what you
Mm.
learned when you were 30, 30 things when you learned you turned 30. Tell us about
Uh,
both of these things and we can wrap up.
Sure. I'll start with founder series. So I started. So always been obsessed with founders stories, because the more in people you realize, right? So as Malcolm Gladwell puts in his book, it says somebody is so efficient or how good they are, the success is because what happened to them in life,
Yeah.
right? It's not because they are so gifted, it's because the situation, things happen. So what I try to do is so the channel is called Founders in Focus. It's an Instagram page only. So where we talk about stories of founders, the journey, where they began, where they are today. And it's a very subtle storytelling, takes you through the journeys. And at moment you can always connect with every person I bring in the podcast is, I'm just like him. If he can do it, I can do it. That is all the whole motive of the podcast. Yeah.
Wow. Guys, please check out Founders Focus. I already like the name. Focus. There's a focus in this Founders Focus. What I like most is, if you have a very complicated concept, you introduce how it was back then, how it is now. As soon as you
Right.
put it in one bucket, people will be very interested with the contrast. I'm going to hire you for marketing. Tell me when you're out of job next time. I'm going to hire you on my team. And if
Sure, hit you up.
and you're not taking checks right now, but if you're raising a round, I want to help you out. I want to be
Sure.
with you. So amazing. I use all the tools you provide, email tools, ChatGPT tools. Awesome. So on that, tell us, top 3 things you learned. Of course, you have a post, 30 things you learned when you turned 30
Right.
on your LinkedIn profile. I love all the 30 things. What are the top 3 things you want to say before we wrap up this podcast?
Right. Cool. This is personally my thought, and all thoughts are generated from the books and people, mentors I've had in my life. It's may not be original, but that's what I feel as a person. Is the curiosity, for example. Curiosity uh, is the most important quality you need across anything you do. So on curiosity aspect, irrespective, it is so my career, I switched from sales to engineering, product, now doing marketing, but all the journey, and it's been very short stints, learning and doing things. It's all because of never lose the curiosity to do it, and put yourself into the place. So I think that is the number one. And there are so many things I cannot put it into wrap into easy words.
Read a lot. You read a lot. Tell me about what you read. I was amazed. I saw the book stack you had in the
Right.
sales booth, and these are books you read and you're giving away. I'm like, wow, you've read all
Right.
the best books in startups. Tell us about that.
Okay, so maybe I'll tell about some book I recently read about the $1 trillion coach. Have you heard about $1 trillion coach?
Yes. It's a very popular book, Silicon Valley. So many people recommended it to me. I want to be
So
one. And the people I work with are $1 trillion coaches. They have built startups that are, giving that kind
okay.
of, yeah.
So this is the story I heard, just the $1 trillion coach book. So what happened is, this is not in the book, this came outside also. So what happened is, when Steve Jobs were running Apple, he was like so rigid person, like nobody can talk back talk him at anything. If he says, that is what it happens, no matter how big the executive it is. He is at that time, somebody stopped him when he was talking about some product they were launching, and the whole crowd was looking at who's she was an intern. Looks like her that intern's boss, almost 4 to 5 layers boss, was actually mentored by the $1 trillion coach, who they call his, I couldn't recall his name.
That's fine.
Sam.
Yeah, that's fine.
So and they call his name, and he's the one, because of him, he was the one who mentored Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs was mentored by him.
Bill
Mark
Campbell.
Zuckerberg. Huh?
Bill Campbell. His name is Bill
Bill
Campbell.
Campbell. Oh my God. Yeah, Bill Campbell. So Bill Campbell. So Steve Jobs used to go to Bill Campbell house to get some mentorship advice. Sheldon Sandberg, Facebook CEO, she was mentored by Bill Campbell. Zuckerberg used to go. The Google founders used to go. So such a beautiful thing. And he was selfless. He didn't make such billions, but at his deathbed, I mean, not deathbed, at his funeral, almost they're saying like 70%, 5% of the world's wealth was there at his funeral. Any top executive say whole tech world was there. So that is how impactful it is.
It is. It
So,
is. I just feel that people can't be with you in person, but they write a book, and that book is like alive. When you read, that
right.
person comes alive. Like if you have a stack of books, all those people are alive with you, and they are helping you in whatever you're doing. So
Yeah.
I used to read. I mean, I still read a lot of books. And for me, that is like somebody I really adore is with me and talking to me and alive. So this is amazing. So on that note. Thank you so much, Prem, for spending this valuable hour with me. I learned so much, even though you're so young, and you're starting your career with your new startup. Again, you're on a reset, but you're doing so well. Thank you so much for joining this podcast. Any last thought you want to leave with? I'm not done learning from you. I want to learn more, but any last thoughts before we wrap up?
No, I think I'm good. But I have one favorite quote. Maybe I can say that. Favorite words. It is a popular thing on YouTube if you've seen. It says, okay, strong men create easy times. Easy times create weak men. Weak men create hard times. Hard times create strong men. So it's a cycle.
Wow,
Yeah, such
nice.
a cycle. So yeah,
Great.
so that is my favorite quote.
That is like a yin yang, like Zen, like the male,
Yeah.
the Shiva Shakti, the male female energies. But this is really awesome. Thanks, Prem. On a very
Okay.
powerful note, we wrap up Pitch Cafe with Prem Sant. Watch out for his startup salesgear.io. They're releasing a new product which is used for bubbling up your email priority on the email list of the prospect. So this is pretty cool. I've never seen this. This is exciting. Thank you, Prem, and we'll love to have you back. Thank you.
Sure, anything. Take care, guys. Thank
Yeah.
you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Bye.